You do what you got to do, and I'm going to do what I got to do.
Good behavior in
But if
a
that
Senate
is meant
committee.
to bully me, you're talking
No
to the
attempt to
wrong
bully
guy.
you.
I just can't believe you would say this about members of Congress. You
On the
said
taxes.
that every single House Republican, none of whom you talked to, would only support Israel if it was made easier for Americans to cheat on their taxes. Did you tweet that?
That's correct, yes.
And I'm going to remind you, you can only be young once, but you can always be immature. And you ought to think about that. Before you said that every single one of them supports Israel only. How many Republican congressmen or women did you talk to before you made that statement?
Welcome back, Patriots, to America First, your go-to channel for truth, accountability, and putting our country first where it belongs. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. Together, we can cut through the noise and get to the facts. Now, let's get into it. All right, folks, today we're diving into a fiery Senate exchange that perfectly highlights what's wrong with the left-wing elites who think they can say whatever they want without accountability. Senator John Kennedy, a true American patriot, called out Yale Law Professor Sarin for her baseless, vicious attack on House Republicans. This is the kind of leadership we need in Washington, calling out dishonesty and standing up for the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to all of our witnesses today.
Wait, listen.
Professor Sarin, you're a professor at Yale Law School?
I am.
Okay. And I see you've been pretty active on Twitter. I'm looking at one of your tweets from a few months ago, October 30th, 2023. I'd like to read it to you. The House Republican stance is, I kid you not, support for Israel as long as we make it easier for people to cheat on their taxes. End quote. Did you tweet that?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. How many Republican congressmen or women did you talk to before you made that statement?
I was reacting to the fact that, and we've talked about it actually.
Yes,
so
ma'am,
far
but
in this.
first, if you could, how many Republican congresswomen or congressmen did you talk to?
I didn't talk to them. I actually was just reacting to the legislation that was proposed.
You
and
didn't talk to
passed.
you didn't talk to any of them
No, sir.
before you said that every single one of them supports Israel only if it is made easier for people to cheat on their taxes?
I actually don't think that every single one of them believes
But
that.
that's what you
But I
said.
do think that the legislation passed by the House reflects a statement of purpose that in order to support Israel, it's
But I'm
important
looking at
to
what you said.
allow
what your
taxpayers to
students
be able
saw.
to cheat
You
on their
said
taxes.
that every single House Republican, none of whom you talked to, would only support Israel if it was made easier for Americans to cheat on their taxes. Now, you said that,
Senator
and you didn't talk to any of them.
Senator Kennedy,
Didn't you?
I am struck by, and perhaps this is something on which we agree, that it is incredibly important to support Israel. It is also incredibly important to make sure that taxpayers at the top of the distribution
we agree on
pay their
Israel,
fair
but I
share.
just can't believe you would say this about members of Congress. It's pretty pejorative, vicious. Let me finish. Without talking to them. I mean, would it be possible for somebody to support a reduction to the IRS budget because they simply believe the federal government ought to have a balanced budget? Would that be a fair position?
That
Would that be a principled position?
Except that that actually doesn't work with respect to defunding
But would
the
it be a
IRS.
principled position?
It wouldn't be an accurate position because
Okay.
defunding
But you don't
the
know because you
IRS
didn't talk to anybody, did you?
Well,
You just said it.
Defunding the IRS, the CBO agrees, everyone who's testifying today agrees that that is going to add to deficits, not reduce
Could
them.
it be that a House Republican wanted to reduce the IRS's budget because they think that the IRS is a model of inefficiency and shouldn't be rewarded with more money.
Well,
Could that have been a possibility, a motivation for the way they
Senator
voted?
Kennedy, I so appreciate that question because the reality.
Could that have been
that the
a
reason-
motivation for the way they voted?
And it relates very closely to what Senator
Could that
Kennedy
have
said.
been a motivation for the way they
reason
voted?
That you've seen an inefficient
Could that have
IRS,
been a motivation
If you
for
allow the
way they
witness to
voted?
answer, you might get your answer, Senator
It
Kennedy.
frankly couldn't have been.
It
because
could or couldn't?
It could not have been.
How do you know you didn't talk to him?
Because the reason why you've seen
You
an
just
IRS
made this
that
statement that
hasn't been able.
every Republican in the House supports Israel only if it has been made easier for people to cheat on their taxes. Could it be that maybe a House member thought that, well, the more money we spend, the more deficits we have, and the more deficits we have, the more pressure is put on interest rates, and the higher interest rates go, the more it hurts the poor. Could that have been
Senator
the position
Kennedy-
of one of the House Republicans?
Senator Kennedy.
Could it have been theoretically?
Couldn't have been because
Could it
everyone.
couldn't have
agrees.
been?
It frankly couldn't.
How do you
have
know
been.
you didn't talk to him?
Well, I know that everyone agrees, including witnesses across the aisle, including CBO, including every single tax expert that has contemplated this question, that defunding the IRS makes deficits worse, not better. And so this is a deficit
I just find it,
measure.
Professor, appalling that you would make a statement like this, a vicious statement like this, without talking to a single person about whom you made this statement. And I'm going to remind you, you know, you can only be young once, but you can always be immature. And you ought to think about that.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Let me just say that I think that the treatment of witnesses is beginning to degrade a bit here. And I'm going to strike some commentary if it continues down this road. I think personal insults to witnesses are not appropriate, and I will not be tolerant of that in this committee.
Well, could I respond, Mr. Chairman? You're going to
Fire away. I think you just called a
You're going to do what you got to do, but I'm going to continue to use my time. You bring witnesses as you're entitled to, and some of them are very good. Some of them have the credibility of Michael Avenatti, and I'm going to use my time when I think it's appropriate to
And I'm
test.
going to use my authority as chairman
to test
as I think
credibility,
it is appropriate
witnesses'
as well,
credibility.
in
So
order
you
to
do
keep
what you
order
got to do, and I'm going to
and
do what I got to do.
good behavior in
But
a
if that
Senate
is meant
committee.
to bully me, you're talking
No
to the
attempt to
wrong
bully
guy.
you. No attempt to bully you, none at all. It's to keep the witness and the committee free of bullying.
I'm entitled to test their credibility, and I think one of our witnesses just got tested.
I hope I passed, Senator. Thank you.
You didn't.
Let's break this down. Professor Sarin, who teaches at Yale, it's no surprise that someone from an Ivy League school will be spewing this kind of nonsense, posted a tweet accusing every single House Republican of only supporting Israel if it makes it easier to cheat on taxes. Think about that for a second. She didn't talk to a single Republican, not one, yet she felt qualified to make such a sweeping, outrageous claim. Folks, this is the kind of arrogance we're up against. Now, let's talk about where this kind of thinking comes from. These Ivy League elites, people like Sarin, think they're smarter than you. They think they know better than the hardworking men and women of this country. They sit in their ivory towers, tweeting their smug little opinions about people they've never met, about legislation they don't understand, and about motives they can't even begin to comprehend. This is exactly why we need fighters like Senator Kennedy to hold their feet to the fire. You see what Kennedy is doing here? He's asking the tough questions. He's not letting her get away with her elitist, baseless nonsense. And what's her response? She admits she didn't talk to a single Republican, not one. Yet she felt comfortable accusing them of supporting Israel only if it benefits tax cheats. Folks, that's not just dishonest, it's disgusting. Now let's talk about the issue at the heart of this debate, IRS funding. Sarin claims that defunding the IRS will increase the deficit, and she cites the Congressional Budget Office and so-called tax experts to back her up. But here's what she's not telling you. The IRS has been a bloated, inefficient bureaucracy for decades. What's the one thing bureaucracies like the IRS do really well? Waste your hard-earned tax dollars. And now they want billions more to expand their reach and dig into the pockets of everyday Americans. Is that what we want? More IRS agents harassing small business owners and middle-class families? I don't think so. Kennedy absolutely nails it here. He asks a simple question. Could Republicans have voted to cut IRS funding because they believe in a balanced budget? Because they think the IRS is inefficient? Because they want to protect Americans from government overreach? These are all valid, principled reasons. But Sarin won't even entertain the possibility. Why? Because it doesn't fit her narrative. It doesn't fit the left's agenda of demonizing anyone who stands up to big government. And then we get to my favorite part. Kennedy doesn't just expose Sarin's hypocrisy. He gives her some advice that everyone on the left should take to heart. Boom. Mic drop. That right there is why we love Senator Kennedy. He's not afraid to tell it like it is. He's holding these so-called experts accountable and reminding them that their words have consequences. Sarin's tweet wasn't just immature, it was reckless. And Kennedy wasn't going to let her off the hook. Now, of course, after Kennedy calls her out, the committee chair tries to step in and accuse him of bullying. Bullying? Give me a break. Asking tough questions isn't bullying, it's holding people accountable. But this is what the left does. They play the victim whenever someone challenges their narrative. They cry bullying to shut down debate. Well, not on Kennedy's watch. And not on ours. Folks, this exchange is a perfect example of why we need more leaders like Senator Kennedy in Washington. Leaders who aren't afraid to stand up to the elites. Leaders who fight for the truth and for the American people. Professor Sarin's tweet was reckless, dishonest, and immature, and Kennedy called her out every step of the way. That's the kind of leadership we need if we're going to take our country back. If you agree, hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and make sure to subscribe to America First. Together, we can fight back against the lies and stand up for what's right. Thanks for watching, Patriots. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.